What's happening, Creek Nations? Coach Abel here with a special 4th of July edition of your weekly parent updates. Took last week off. Week before I was in Disney with the fam. But lots of important information here. Much of what is review, but there's some new information as well. So let's get to it. Obviously, we're still on dead period. Hopefully, your guys are staying active. Coach Stoner happened to send the workout to the guys via huddle this past week. So again, biggest thing is that they're staying active and not getting out of shape, making sure they're outside for a couple hours a day, so that their bodies aren't shocked when they're back out in that heat for 2 to 3 hours a night, starting next week. So make sure they're staying active. But we also want the kids to be kids. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying a little time off, a little vacationing, beaches, whatever you guys got going on. But again, we are looking forward to this thing ending this Friday. Okay. Fundraising U, this was a big success for us. I'm not exactly sure what our final numbers were. Coach Wilkins has got to follow up with me on that. He's the guy that kind of runs the Fundraising U organization. But he did talk about rewarding guys who performed well. These are your award winners, whatever those awards are. I'm not sure yet after we speak to Coach Wilkins. But Keegan, Patrick, and Trevor had the most donations. You see them there. And then the most money generated you see was Darius, Victor, and Patrick. And that's a pretty big deal, man, that these guys were able to do that simply by sending out a couple of text messages or phone calls. So good for them. More information coming soon. Each player will receive a list of those who donated to him, and then you can let those donors know that this is a tax write-off. We are a nonprofit, tax-exempt organization, so they can use that on their taxes if need be. But anyway, the purpose of the fundraiser was that August 27th college going trip. We're going to figure out what that's going to look like down the road. Biggest thing is kind of getting with Coach Wilkins and closing up shop to see exactly how we did, and then we can kind of go from there with planning. So, good job, well done, everybody on the fundraiser. Sports physicals. This is just a reminder about the sports physicals. If there anybody that's new, July 15th, I've got to have those physicals in hand. Hopefully, you guys have got them done. One thing I want to point out, there are two sets of auxiliary forms. The first of which I had actually put out there on the app a few weeks ago. All those auxiliary forms need to be completed digitally. It's pretty quick and simple. About 20 of you guys have done it so far, and that's a far stretch from 90. So everyone else needs to kind of get on board with that. I'll send that link out here pretty soon as well. The other thing I want to mention is a new form. They just threw this on us this past week. Obviously, while you guys are in dead period, right? That's what makes the most sense. But don't freak out about this. This is another COVID form. COVID is still existing. It's still out there. You know, obviously, it's starting to kind of things have gotten better and are progressively getting better. But I think the powers that be still want to kind of cover their butts and make sure that you guys are aware of whatever risks are still out there. So that's all this form is. I'll probably have copies of these to give out to the players when we return next week. Okay. Player ads, nothing big or important here. Just if you want to purchase an ad for the program, feel free. I'm going to extend this by another week or so, just because we haven't had a whole lot of time to push this to our sponsors either. So, with that being said, if your boss, manager, owner, GM, whoever is interested in becoming a sponsor, we have plenty of spots left on our program for our fall program. Okay. Important dates coming up. The mandatory parent meeting for freshmen is on the 15th at 8 p.m. That's a week from Thursday, I believe. Should be a freshman / new parent. If you are a new parent and you and I did not have a off season or preseason discussion individually, then you want to be here. Okay, so this is for anyone who's a incoming transfer or a new player, or of course any freshman. We look forward to seeing you guys on the 15th. All right. Here are the two 7-on-7 tournaments. The one on the left is ours. We've talked about this before. I'm still in search of some volunteers, parent volunteers. If your son is a lineman or if your son is a freshman, those guys will likely not to participate in the 7-on-7 tournament. A couple freshmen possibly could dress for that, but we'll get cross that bridge in a few weeks. But we definitely need some help. We need some people to run the scores, being scorekeepers, kind of helping us manage everybody. All players are going to be required to attend that on the 17th because that's a full thing for us, and it's our first one, so we want to make sure all hands are on deck. But if your son is a lineman, or if your son is a freshman and you have some time for us, please feel free to let me know, and we'll put you down as a volunteer. It is a full day, so I'll treat it the same way that we would treat, let's say, if you work Churchill Downs or the Lou City soccer games, and so those benefits would kick in. We'd get you the T-shirt and the home game pass. Okay, the 7-on-7 tournament in Central Hardin the following Friday. That's going to be invite only. Again, those guys will know when we get a little closer to the date. Player fees. We've talked about player fees before. These are due on before July 24th. It is 1:30. One thing I want to point out is that we now have these online. I really can't do a PayPal or a Cash App option. We've tried that and it's kind of failed miserably. But we do have the football store on the link below, creekfootballstore.weebly.com. I will tell you that when you pay through credit card, there is a $5 upcharge just because that's what the website charges. But it is available to you. If you have any issues with that website, please let me know because this is a relatively new experience for everybody. Also on the website are the season athletic passes. These are $75, but if you have a son that is a two-sport athlete, or if you have a son who is playing both, let's say, Frostmore and varsity, which a lot of those guys will, this would likely be a benefit for you. This is probably a really good, efficient decision for you. $75, but it gets you into every athletic event home game at Fern Creek. That's available for purchase. Up in the top right, I wanted to point out that Longevity is a company that we're working with this year for our player gear, for our Creek team wear. This is a company owned and operated by Trayvon Spencer, who's a class of 2012. He played for us when I was an assistant on staff here at Fern Creek. Great dude. Went to K-State. Played was All American at Kentucky State. Actually had a couple tryouts with some pro teams. Phenomenal dude, phenomenal guy, and he's really trying to get his brand up and running. And he's got a really, really good product. So once you guys see the kids with it, I think you'll be intrigued and you'll be visiting his website in the very, very near future. But if you guys missed it on Facebook, they did a little photo shoot, press release, if you will, and it's really, really well done. And it was done by two up and coming Fern Creek graduate entrepreneurs. So feel free to give that a watch. 1500 Point Club, we'll talk more about this next week, but this is something I want to put on everyone's radar. The seniors know what this is, the underclassmen do not, but it's a lifting competition, and it's a great way for these guys to see kind of how they've done this off season. But the biggest thing for this is that it's an honor to be a part of the 1500 Point Club. In 10 years of doing it at Fern Creek, we have less than 10 people that have actually accomplished this feat. So it's a great challenge. It's a really good event. We hopefully will be all hands on deck for that in a couple Saturdays. A few Sundays from now is a senior retreat at my neighborhood clubhouse pool. That's 8 to 10 p.m. I'll give those seniors a little bit more information as we approach the date. Lastly, guys, it's the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day. Hopefully, you guys will celebrate. It's going to be a beautiful day, not too hot, not too humid. But hopefully, the biggest thing here is that we're celebrating safely and responsibly. We don't want to see any of our players coming back missing a couple digits. Okay. So hopefully, everyone's going to enjoy this responsibly. But again, happy Independence Day. Look forward to seeing you guys here next week. I'll have another video by next Sunday as well. Hope is greater than fear. We'll see you guys then.